Ted Nugent has a genius proposal he would like to share with you in his new article. And I know what you're thinking. Ted Nugent can write? Well, yes, he can. I was surprised too. And his idea is for a grand compromise with the left. I'm just as shocked as you are, because this is a guy who is open about the fact that he's not in favor of compromise. He's the last person you would ever think would compromise. So what he says is, quote, "Yours truly, the humble Motor City madman, NRA Board of Directors member, leading gun rights spokesman, and prospective presidential candidate in 2016. All right, sorry, I could laugh for a while there. Will support and champion closing the so-called gun show loophole if the anti-gun left wing will support closing the federal voting loophole." Now, what is the federal voting loophole? Well, he goes on to explain that he's talking about banning people from voting if they pay no federal income tax. That's very important, the specific tax we're referring to, federal income tax, okay? He's purposefully picking a narrow little area, federal income tax. So, okay, how many people would that be that he would take the right to vote away from? And let's be clear, right to vote, not a privilege, not open to debate. It's a right, constitutional right. How many people would he take that away from? 43% of the population. A grand total of about 135 million people. That's almost half the fucking country. Ted Nugent wants to take the right to vote away from almost half the country. Is that not a lunatic idea? Now, once I give you more details here, you'll realize why it's definitely a lunatic idea. So some people might think, well, wow, that's actually a large percentage of the population that's not paying taxes. I mean, that's a big deal. We should probably do something to change that, right? Wrong. Because again, he's talking specifically about federal income tax. So what he's not telling you is that those same people make between about $20,000 and $30,000 a year. And the reason why they're not paying federal income tax is because they simply can't afford to pay it. They already can't afford to pay their bills. You already can't pay the mortgage or pay the rent and put food on the table and make sure your kids are okay on that amount of money, but Ted Nugent wants them to pay more. And also, isn't it weird? I thought that the Republican Party was always against taxes, and lower taxes was always a good thing. No taxes was always a good thing, right? They're the ones that tell us that. But now all of a sudden, Ted Nugent and Republicans want to raise taxes? I thought that's the last thing they would want to do. So here's another fact that he would never let you know, probably because he doesn't know it, which is that that same group that doesn't pay federal income tax, of course they pay state tax and local tax and other federal taxes like the payroll tax and other fees as well. But no, according to Ted, those guys who, by the way, can't even really afford those taxes, he wants them to pay all those taxes and a federal income tax, which again, I thought you're a Republican and you don't want that. Apparently you do. And also I should note that these people, by and large, they are mostly senior citizens, veterans, disabled people, and working poor people. So Ted, I thought, you know, you're a conservative who's looking out for the average guy. Apparently part of average guy doesn't mean fuck senior citizens, fuck veterans, fuck disabled people, and working poor people. So you're not really for the average guy, are you? I guess you're for the rich. Now, not to mention that, of course, this idea of Nugent's, even if we granted him the deal, which I wouldn't do because it's moronic, and 91% of people want a universal background check anyway, why would I compromise on something where 91% want it? I don't need to give away anything to get what 91% of people want. It's called do your fucking job, Congress, because that's what people fucking want. I know, radical idea. But it's unconstitutional. It's totally unconstitutional, and again, I find it funny that Republicans always pretend like they're in favor of the Constitution. They always abide by it. It's not debatable, except when they want to debate it, then it is debatable. And what Nugent is really trying to say here, make no mistake about it, is that half the population that pays no federal income tax, they're lazy Democrats. So they don't want to work. They sit on their couch all day. And and the good Republicans are supporting them, so yeah, fuck them, make them pay more, yada yada. But here's the thing. Ted is wrong, and you could know that simply based off mathematics. Because what percentage of the population is unemployed? What is it, 7-point-something% now? And even if you use the other measure, the so-called real unemployment rate, okay, that's hovering around about 10%. So if 10% of the population is unemployed, first of all of them, it's not like they don't want to work. The majority of them want to work. So it's only like 3% that might not want to work, and it's even really lower. Probably about 1% of the population doesn't want to work. So 1% doesn't want to work, or we'll be fair to Ted. We'll say that whole 10% doesn't want to work, right? But you want to take away the right to vote from 43% of the population. So by basic math, you're saying you want to take away the right to vote from 33% of the population that is willing to work, good people, they work, but they don't make a lot of money. So just take away the right to vote from poor people is what you're saying.